Welcome back to the energy tips for week 51. That is December the 15th till the 21st. Welcome Patreon supporters and heart warriors. This is for you, and as always I'm gonna go pretty deep into the energies here for next week. I hope you guys had a good last week. The energies were a bit tricky, but I also know that, you know, for most of you, these challenges that come along, you know, as you are sort of active self-healers, you know, active energy workers, you know, that these things that challenge you, that they will be of great benefit for you in the future. This is all about manifestation here these next couple of weeks, and so I want you to pay extra attention, as I've already laid this out in the energy update. The chakra energies involved here in next week are going to be primarily the third and the fourth chakra. That is the barrier here that I talk about so much between, you know, your heart and your mind, okay? And at the same time, you know, the barrier between your heart and your expression of that, and at the same time your vision, you know, your deeper understanding, okay, your sixth chakra, your third eye. So these are energy centers that regulate the way you see things, the way you perceive things, the way you express things, and the way you feel things. They're gonna be very, very active here this next week. And since it's a green week, guys, all I can say is use this momentum, use this opportunity, okay? It will perhaps feel like challenging in the sense of you're gonna have to really grow here. This is a forced growth. Remember these expansion waves that we talked about a couple of weeks ago? You know, you may not feel already, but when you feel this little cringe in you, okay, then push yourself through that, muscle through that. But this time you want to use your heart mind and not just your mind, okay? So this is wave number 2 here in December, and your energy centers are beginning to you know, be more in tune with another. This is like your energy centers, they work like cogs in you, you know, and the better they can work together, the better the flow, the better your manifestation, okay? So in this whole process of awakening that we are all in right now, as a collective, as individuals, okay, we are now being held to calibrate these energy centers, these cogs, a little better, so that they can more efficiently work for these new experiences and these new realities, okay, that are being created right now. Remember 2012 when they all talked about the apocalypse and the world's going to go under, the world as we know it is going to disappear, and this is actually happening right now. And what, we're all still here, you know, and we're actually experiencing one upgrade after another. So I want you guys to see these things as upgrades, as leveling up, but not in an ego sense, as an you know, becoming a more spiritual person or anything along those lines. It's more about you, you know, being better equipped and learning what your true talents are, what your true powers are. 2019 will all be about your superpowers. Those of you guys who have been working on this in the past decades, you're gonna have a field day. You're gonna start feeling really strong, where everybody else around you is starting to lose it. So please remember this. No matter how challenging these little waves are for you, okay, this is all for you to really grow into your higher potential, okay? But collectively, and this week will be okay. I mean, we're going to see riots, we're going to see things with the borders, you know, the wall here in the United States, refugees, immigrants, all these border issues, all right, they're going to come forward here this week. But it's not really about that. Understand that this is more or less sort of an old paradigm, you know, to separate yourself, to isolate yourself, you know, to protect your borders. However, you know, this is the duality of us being human. We have to learn though how to set proper boundaries so that we can feel safe in our space. All right, and for this we need discernment and clarity. Okay, this is where your third eye comes in. The seventh chakra, the crown chakra, the connection with, you know, the more universal energies, that's something that comes in, you know, through your alignment. So the higher the vibratory rate of what you align yourself to, you know, the higher the values, you know, as far as like, you know, how you want to conduct your life, you know, the stronger, you know, the backwind is going to be here, the stronger the support for you. So if your true motives, and we talked about this last week, if they are you know, located in or if they're based on fear, or if they're based on pain, or if they're based on getting back, or you know, winning or competing or getting an edge, you know, over somebody, then you're not really going to feel the support. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is, and those of you who've been following me for a while are familiar with this term, the world is going to become more and more bifurcated. It's going to split. Okay, and not to say that those who are more spiritual aligned are the chosen ones. That's not where this goes, guys. So that's a spiritual trap. This is about you fully understanding that you are in co-creatorship with your life, okay, and you came here for a reason. So this is basically your task, to grow into your purpose. And as we are growing into our true purpose, as we are growing into our higher potential as individuals and as collective, we are becoming more aware of our powers. The problem in the past is, you know, the I don't know, 40,000 years, you know, of recorded history of mankind, was that in order to just survive, we had to externalize our powers. There were too many things that we were not in control of. But, you know, with our technology and with our energetic sensitivity increasing, we are beginning to become able to contextualize things that happen in the world better. You know, we're not seeing thunder as a, you know, God being angry, or you know, an earthquake as the punishment for making a choice. All right, we have more sophisticated tools nowadays to contextualize all of this. But there still is, of course, you know, this 85 percentile of the population that is aligned to self-gain, that is aligned to ego goals. And so we're seeing, of course, still the negative outcroppings of that. So when it comes to the stewardship of this planet, for instance, and environmental issues, weather change and so forth, which will be a huge subject here next year, just so you know, then we're also going to discover that there's a, you know, that there's a force there that is trying to manipulate all of that. So with every new accomplishment, or with every new talent discovered, also comes the misuse, okay, where all this goes into the shadow expression of it. And this is why you need to pay attention to how these things, how your true talents, how your true motives, how they come into expression. This is the week here coming with the weekend, where you really want to pay attention to how you express who you truly are. Now physically, these waves, you know, as no matter how we see them spiritually, but you know, they are still going to be challenging for all of us. Okay, so just surrender that. Just surrender that, you know, these higher vibratory energies, that they're going to make you really, really tired, or that they're going to make you feel sick and nauseous at times, or that they're going to feel weird in you. You know, that you feel weird vibrations or throbbing in certain body parts. Okay, this doesn't mean you have cancer, or that you know, that you're sick or anything. It just means that, you know, these parts of your body that are vibrating at lower frequencies, that they, you know, that there's something happening. So instead of going into fear or going against it, go into it. Wherever you feel the throbbing in your body, go into it. You know, if you feel nauseous, go into the nausea, you know, and breathe through it. And if you want to go a step further, then ask yourself what this is linked to. Okay, what is this linked to right now? So feeling sick but then not, you know, that's kind of like the characteristicum that of the next week here. And you know, your nerves. Okay, so that's why I'm recommending you to breathe through things. You can go to the doctor, of course. Some conditions are medical, and if it helps your mind, you know, then go have it checked out. Okay, but for the most part, this is a reaction of your nervous system and your entire cellular structure to these energetic waves, to this overall speeding up of energies. Okay, so along with this, you know, don't isolate yourself, you know, talk to others. This really helps. We have groups here at transCODES where people you know, just share sort of their daily experiences and ask if other people are experiencing this too. This is so healing, guys, you know, if you know that you're not alone with this. But in order to do this, of course, you know, you need to be able to discern the information, you know, and a lot of people go into panic with some of these things. And if I look at you know, sort of what's out there, you know, I don't have much time, you know, to watch other YouTubers' energy updates, but you know, if I stumble across it, or somebody sends me a video and says, oh, this is interesting, you know, there's always the problem with the discernment. Okay, so please, you know, be very sort of conscientious about how things make you feel. If things make you feel special, or if things make you feel scared, you know, then the incoming energy from this, be it a movie, be it a book, be it a song, be it a, you know, a YouTuber, you know, is or angry, if they make you angry for that matter, you know, then you know, you're gonna have to, you know, go inward, you know, and really connect with the feeling that is being triggered in you. Other than that, physically, guys, small intestines, you know, are going to be a little challenged here. This is where your where the biochemical, you know, the metabolic breakdown of your of carbohydrates is taking place. Be careful with these high carb sort of comfort foods next week. That's not going to make you feel good. All right, these structural changes that are going on a cellular level require you to shift your diet into a more nutrient dense, you know, into more sort of digestive enzymes, phytochemicals, and so forth. So anything you know, simple carb is really just slowing you down and making that whole transformation, that whole transition harder. Also, you're probably going to experience increased dreaming. And one cool thing, I forgot to mention this in the energy update, guys. Tonight, Thursday night, and Friday is a very special event here on our Night's Horizon, meteor showers. If you want to witness a sort of a romantic type of event on your night sky, you know, tonight and tomorrow night are the nights that can help you, you know, to tune your body into, you know, that you're part of a much bigger universe. Okay. Emotionally, you know, there's going to be excitement, and you're going to feel this onset of courage. For some people, especially if you have a lot of, or if you're attuned to your masculine energies, this may feel like an agitation. So you're going to have to find the middle ground. Same thing. If you know your true motives, guys, if you know what has motivated you in the past, then it will become a lot easier for you to channel this courage, to channel this incoming energy. Okay? So if you are, like I've said last week, if you are on the end of, you know, sort of being a bit stoic or apathetic, or, you know, feeling stuck, then use this week to push through, even, you know, if this agitation can make you feel a little unsettled. Okay? The big thing here that I'm seeing in this coming week is a wonderful opportunity to feel again, to really open yourself up again for what makes you tick, to connect you with your passion again. Guys, don't be afraid of this. If you are considering dating, or if you're considering, opening yourself up for a relationship, allow it. Don't be afraid of pain, okay? You're gonna experience pain throughout your life, no matter what. And the more conscious and the more open you become, the more voluntary you enter into this vulnerability, the more resiliency you're going to build, the more equipped you're going to become. Trust me, guys, a life in your head is not going to make you happy. You are human after all, and that means you're going to have to learn how to deal with your emotions. And in order to deal with your emotions, you're going to have to allow your emotions, all of your emotions. You just can't, and this is the expression part, just vent them out or make other people responsible for it, or, blame it onto others. So learn from the past here. What has consumed you in the past? Consuming? That's like carbo loading, eating the gallon of ice cream. That is not very efficient. Anything that can come out of that, is just sort of extremes, and it just pulls you either back into your coping, into your addictions, or makes you feel like crap and sets you up for failure. So know what used to consume you and let go of focusing on that. You already know that this doesn't work, okay? Understand that this is all baby steps, depending on how old you are, what the type of journey is that the stage of journey that you're going through right now. Allow yourself, to take this one step at a time. And if you're a little older, and if you've already made a bunch of negative experiences, and you've had it and you don't want to go there anymore, consider, that the part in you that is unhappy and unfulfilled is rooted there. If you are not feeling fulfilled in your life, that means you simply haven't opened yourself up yet for what it is that you truly came here for. And you probably also don't know your true talents yet, your true gifts. You may perceive them as shadow aspects, you may perceive them as negative aspects of your personality and suppress them. So my cheering here, my pep talk here is for you to really tune into this. Allow yourself to feel it, even if it comes out in a raw way in the beginning. That's okay. It doesn't have to be graceful at first, but it needs to be activated, so that you can make these quantum leaps. Mentally, as far as your thinking and so forth is concerned, you gotta understand, that the way you communicate within yourself is also part of how you express yourself. So if you feel misunderstood, if you feel not heard, then start within yourself first. Observe your inner communication. How am I talking to myself? All right, this gives you an indication of how other people perceive you. And if you have good friends, that can give you feedback here, or a partner that is just as aware as you are, then don't shy away from asking. How do you perceive that when I talk about my feelings? How does that? Am I too much in my head? Let me know. All right, and you can also do this with your inner voice, with your inner guidance. To ask, to let you know when you are too much in your head, when you're trying to resolve something in mentally, that it really isn't a mental problem. And especially, guys, this is actually sort of mentally, spiritually, when you have a practical problem, don't try to resolve this with like spiritual concepts. Guys, common sense here, okay? If you have a 3D problem, a lower vibratory problem, you cannot resolve this with, forgiveness and compassion. Now, matters of communication, matters of cooperation, matters of trying to work things out with others, absolutely. That's the challenge here. But simple things, like somebody taking something away from you, or somebody you know, sending negative energies to you, you don't have to suck this up and say, well, yeah, I'm so spiritual, you know, I can see why the person is. No, no. Your mind is what gets you tangled up there, you know, thinking that you have to respond or be in a certain way. All right, so let that go. Okay, become really practical. Know what your needs are, know what your boundaries are, and communicate this clearly. Be clear cut. Hey, dude, this isn't working for me. This is going a step too far. You know, this isn't making me feel safe. This is, you know, taking something away from me. You know, this is, sort of, you know, in some ways inhibiting me or contracting me. Okay, speak it out loud. You don't have to be angry. This is the part here that most of you, that has gotten you into trouble in the past, is that you've tried to mentalize your feelings, and especially your anger. Okay, no, it's okay to feel angry when somebody does something to you. Okay, it's okay to say it out loud, because if you're not expressing it, you know, then all this gets stuck in you, and that's then ultimately what leads to all these energetic attachments, what leads to resentments, what leads to negativity, self-defeat. And as energy workers, I can assure you, it builds a huge, massive wall around your third eye, you know, your connection to divinity, and of course, you know, your connection to your heart. It's mostly located in the way you mentalize things. Okay, so don't do the stuff that you already know isn't working. And sometimes it's hard to see that. That's why we need feedback. That's why we need correction from the outside sometimes. All right. Also, I mentioned this in the energy update already, you know, the discernment of information is a really, really big subject here. This will continue to be a big subject in the future. And discernment is not the same as deciding whether information is good or bad. Discernment has something to do with what this information does to you energetically. Okay, so there can be information out there that can make you feel very, very special, very powerful, very superior. That doesn't mean it's good information. Okay, your ego will like it, but it's not necessarily good for you. If you're struggling, you know, with you know, knowing what is my true inner guidance and what is my ego speaking, you know, then you have to learn how to sit in your thoughts and in your feelings and how to catch them. Bit by bit, step by step. Catch these thoughts. Catch these loops as they arise. Surrender to the fact that you can't control the occurrence of them, but you can decide whether you're gonna latch onto them, you know, and let them consume you, and perhaps even let them drive your decisions, or whether you're gonna realign yourself to your heart, to your true self, to your true potential. Okay. Socially, obviously, you know, this is going to affect our relationships here next week, and it's such a beautiful week, guys. I mean, such a romantic week. There's so much opening here for your manifestation felt in regards to love and passion. And those of you who are in a difficult stage with your relationship, this is the week where you can really work things out. Give it a try, guys. You know that there is hope. Okay, even if things feel like they're like an impasse right now. All right, give this a chance. So allow a new level of connection by allowing yourself to feel all your feelings and to better express them. Take a risk if you have to, you know, but make sure that you feel safe. That's important here. You do have to continue with your boundary work. If you still, you know, get pulled into relationships that, you know, constantly feel like the other is pushing into you or trying to control you too much, or you doing the same thing to the other in a coverted way, you know, keyword white shadow here, you know, like trying to look good on the outside but really actually being, you know, secretly really controlling, you know, then try to catch that as well and surrender that. Okay, no more white shadow, guys. White shadow, from an energetic point of view, is the most detrimental etheric trap. You know, it gets you into trouble energetically, because you still believe that you're doing something good. You know, yeah, I'm saving the world, you know, I'm helping other people to see truth. Bullshit. That's an illusion, guys. That's a distraction. It has to do with superiority. It's actually kind of narcissistic to think that way, because you're really here to do this for yourself. And if it so happens that your resonance becomes so strong that it can provide that for others, then it happens, it occurs as a consequence of who you have become, and not what you do or what you say. Resonance comes from within. Has to do with your luminescence, has to do with, you know, what you truly are, and not what you push out as projections of yourself. Any other empath can see through that, or if they haven't really learned these tools how to discern, will fall for it. So this typical empath narcissist sort of textbook drama relationship, guys, has to do with one constantly pushing out into the other person's energy field, and the other still thinking that they're doing something good for the narcissist, you know, still enabling it, not being able to discern really what's theirs and what isn't. Okay, so energetically, that is, you know, one of the big issues here for this next week that we want to deal with. When it comes to like what's supported, it's really about the feelings. Like I said this in the energy update, you know, don't beat around the bush, you know, don't withhold, don't try to find sort of good words to express how you feel. Just say it, guys, just say it. It's a lot easier for another person to relate to when you're speaking from your heart than when you're trying to find an elaborate or eloquent way of throwing that at the other. They don't know how to respond, and that's why your interaction with others is often so, it's based on misunderstandings and assumptions, really. Okay, so in order to prevent that, you know, just be completely honest with yourself. And, you know, it's okay to not know the answer. It's okay to not have the solution. This is where your connection with your higher self comes in. So spiritually, you know, this next week will be a beautiful week to learn what it means to surrender to your inner higher power. But not as in succumbing or as in defeat. No, as in learning that there are so many more options, so many more higher vibratory solutions when you can actually surrender. Okay? You don't need anybody else to tell you what your journey is or how spiritual you are. Okay, own your own journey. You have to claim that, guys. I know I sound like a broken record, but this is really the you know, the key aspect here of the spiritual emergence, the spiritual awakening that is going through our collective right now. Yes, it does feel a little bit like a spiritual emergency at first. It comes with crisis, because in order to break through all these old structures, you know, something more severe has to happen. And that's okay. Don't suppress that, because if you're suppressing that, it's just a time bomb, you know, then something more severe has to happen. You know, then near-death experiences or, you know, accidents and stuff like that come in, you know, to recalibrate you to your journey. So if you really want to connect with your deeper purpose and the meaning, you know, of your life, your being here, what you can offer to the world, you know, then work on understanding this from within your heart. Okay? Everything else, like your financial situation, your relationships, and the way things manifest for you, they depend on your resonance. Okay? So the more congruent you are with yourself, the more clear you are about who you truly are. the easier this manifestation process is going to go. And don't underestimate this. I've mentioned this before. The speed up of energies here and the effect on our manifestation is not all just good. Because if you're still lingering in negativity, if you still have the self-beat up cycles going on, the sabotage, you know, all these contractive and egocentric things that consume you, you're going to manifest negative stuff just as fast. Okay, so this sounds a little scary, I know, but I think it's appropriate to pay attention to that and to be more conscientious about this. So you guys, as energetically sensitives and empaths, you cannot really hide behind your sensitivity anymore. That is not a reason, you know, to, you know, feel entitled or feel like a victim. This is a power that you have there, and if you're not using it, it will turn against you. Okay? So don't fall for all these spiritual traps that are out there. Instead, really connect with what higher power means to you, and you find this connection with higher power within yourself, within your heart. Yes, sometimes we need guides, all right? And sometimes we need people who help us to learn tools, like I try to provide for you in these intensives, for instance, that we have come up this weekend. Etheric protection, you know, how to better discern in your sort of spiritual perception of things. You don't need to have the fix, you don't need to have the answer. You just need purpose. And in order to connect with your purpose, you're going to have to find out what it is that you have been devoting yourself to in the past. And most of you are not aware of that because you just like literally, you know, allowed yourself to be consumed by all your wounds and fears and pains. Okay? That's not your true purpose. However, obviously there was a learning experience there that helps you to discover your purpose. And you need to learn how to surrender to this higher superpower in you. And that is not some outer power, that is an inner power, but you're going to have to surrender to that because you don't know yet what that is. That's what faith is, guys. That's a whole new contextualization of what spiritual or practical spirituality is. So energetically, I've mentioned this, you know, curb your enthusiasm here a bit, because there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in your dream world, okay? You're going to be very careful, or going to have to be very careful with your projections. As empaths, you're also natural projectors, and part of this confusion, part of this this lack of discernment is that you actually often can't even differentiate between your own projections. So there is a thing that we need to learn that guides us through the misunderstanding between projections and alignment. We've talked about alignment in last week's energy tips. Alignment has something to do with, you know, where your energies are sort of directed at. And we are born with a certain alignment, okay? And also with a certain spiritual capacity, by the way. If we can find that channel, you know, that frequency, that is, you know, the one that is truly connecting us with our higher self, manifestation becomes easy. If you are running into these resistances and constantly fighting and struggling and trying to control things and more and harder, okay, you're building more and more walls around that true perception, you know, that you could have if you didn't have all these layers, these ego layers around it. Okay, so own your journey, claim your journey as your own, but also be careful with these false claims, these false projections of who you are and what you came here. Okay, you don't need to be a god, you don't need to be special, you don't need to be an indigo, you don't need to be anything. You just need to be you and feel you. The moment you give yourself permission to feel is the moment when you begin to live again, because you're going to start feeling pain again. And with feeling pain, you get the opportunity to transmute this into love. And with love, you're going to learn how to turn this, to transmute this into manifestation, into creation. So this is my little woo-woo part here of the energy tips. Okay. Know what's yours and what isn't. Most of you suffer from things that aren't even yours, but because you're projecting so much yourself, you don't even know anymore. And as far as energy efficiency is concerned, I talked about this in the December forecast. You know, you're gonna have to like look at how much energy you actually waste in trying to just ward off things all the time. Let me tell you that this is not an efficient state of energy. If you find yourself in a place where you constantly have to ward off things, you're wasting energy. There's something you're doing wrong here, you know, is in handling your energy. So learn, you know, what it means to become a good energy manager. This is what we have the Sacred Self-Healing program for, you know, to teach this to you on all different layers of yourself. Okay, so it's always the energy balance that you need to look for. And you know, your manifestation abilities have a lot to do with that energy balance. It's like your savings account, you know. So all this wasted energy and trying to ward off, or trying to get getting distracted and stuff and specialness and all that, those are all wasted energies that could be used for your personal manifestation of the life, you know, that you want. You have a right to live a happy and fulfilled life. Okay. Self-coaching tips here this week, guys. Once more, ask yourself, what has been my primary motivation in the past? You know, the stuff that made you go. If you know that, like I found out about myself, that my primary motive in the past, what made me go all my life, was basically this fear of shame, of being shamed. This is a karmic attachment that I have. Okay, and that's all right. I accept that. And that has driven me to wanting to become better, you know, needing to be superior in a way, needing to feel secure, you know. And yes, there were a lot of outcroppings, you know. I went through all phases of spiritual superiority and mental superiority, trust me. Okay, that's why I'm such a good energy worker, because I can pinpoint this in others so easily. But once you realize, you know, that this driving force, what consumed me as a younger person, you know, can also be turned around and be used as a superpower, right? Then you begin to understand the true purpose here. So don't shy away from admitting those things to you, because they are vital cues. They're the keys for your journey. What have I learned in the past in that way, you know, and especially in regards to things that you already know don't work. So, you know, don't kid yourself there. If you know what doesn't work, then don't continue. Break through that. And how can I better express what I need? A lot of you guys have this idea that either in an entitled way that life has to provide it to you without you asking, or you feel that you don't deserve to ask. You gotta work through this. And last but not least, especially those of you who are very energetically sensitive, who have a very lucid dream world and you know, ties to astral worlds and so forth, is this even mine? Okay, the discernment of energies coming in, are those yours, or are those energies coming in from others? Is this a result of you projecting so much out there that, you know, you're pulling this back in, as I've described this last week? Sit with this, enjoy this week. It's going to be a wonderful week for all of us. Okay, don't get distracted by the news. This is all the wear and tear, you know, of this awakening process. And see you next week, a day early for you guys here, the Patreon channel. I don't know if I can process all of that so quickly, because there's so much going on now. Starting next week, this is when the new year starts, guys, so it's gonna be exciting. Okay, so dive into it, go forward, take a risk. Okay, say it the way it is. Don't beat around the bush anymore. It's wasted energy. Thank you, guys. Bye.